gentlemen, welcome to the broadcast. You guys heard us talking about our question of the day. I'm going to start with Rude Awakening. Rude, how'd you get into tanks? What started you in all of this?
Well, I was mostly a first-person shooter player for a really long time, and then a friend of mine was like, hey, I know you like tanks, you should try this game out, and I was like, fine, I'll try it out, and then just 1,000 battles in, I was hooked.
And you're still here today. How many years has it been for you?
Over 3 years.
Over 3 years. All right, Meadowhawk, let's hear what you have to say. Meadow, what got you into World of Tanks? What got you here?
Funny enough, it was a Facebook ad. I don't know if it was one of my friends that was playing it or someone in my friends list, but it came up, and of course, I think most people know that I used to be an armored crewman, so I was like, hey, tank game, and jumped in, and just like everyone else who starts playing it, and I was hooked. Oddly enough, I started a lot later than a lot of the guys in the league. I mean, I think I've only been playing for about 2.5, maybe 3 years.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, that is actually relatively new, and actually pretty impressive that you've managed to join us at this level for being only there for 2 years.
So, Meadowhawk.
Yeah, I pretty much started right.
Oh, go for it. Finish off your set.
Sorry.
Oh, I started just before the Foch 155 got the giant Nerf bat.
Okay, I put the date to it.
Yeah.
So, Meadowhawk, let's talk about your team for a second. We were just talking about how 07 kind of seems like you guys are a bunch of misfits almost that play together. You have a lot of odd personalities in that team, yet you guys make it come together. Why don't you kind of go over that dynamic for everyone?
It's hard. Like, obviously, we started off way back Bronze League. We made our way up to Gold League. And we've just been constantly cycling players. So I think it's almost like our culture. We're used to new people coming in, and once we've trained them up, they leave to go, find better pursuits like Vetro and XO. But all in all, our core 5 guys have really kept things together, and we just like playing the game. So after it all, it is a game. This isn't NFL. Pro making millions of dollars. Where everyone's having fun in the league.
Well, I mean, with a set like yours, it looks like you might be taking it pretty seriously, though, right? I mean,
well, see, I had to pull the bow tie out today because of our game against Apex. We need to go back to school. I got the college professor look going on tonight.
Well, Rude Awakening, are you going to send 07 to school? Right. This is Top Tier's first season back in the league. You guys have shown up and not blown us away quite yet, but are you going to blow us away this 07 match? How are you going to do that?
Well, we know 07 is a really tough team. They've made it to the playoffs last season, so they beat out 8 other teams. The core of the team's still together. So, yeah, we know that's going to be a really, really tough match. It's going to be close. My team is still in the early stages of putting things together. We have put a few things together, but we're really we've got a long way to go, honestly. We've got a long way to go before we can really start showing, our potential.
I actually want to ask something about your journey a little bit, because I feel like it's actually really hard to kind of lay out how Top Tier's growth has been in such a short amount of time. From match day 1 to today, what would you say is the biggest difference between the Top Tier of match day 1 and the Top Tier of today?
Well, match day 1, obviously there wasn't a lot of things we could prepare for in terms of other teams. We didn't know what they were going to do. We didn't know how they prepare, how they play, their style. So we had to focus just on ourselves. Week 2, week 3, we had, we are working on our comms. Our comms has got to get a lot better. We have to start talking not just about what we see, but we got to be really focused on ideas and flexes and opportunities that present themselves. But by the end of the season, I really think that we might get there.
All right. Thank you for sharing all that with us. We'll be focusing on that as the match goes by. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on the broadcast. I will see you on the battlefield. We will see you on the battlefield. That's 07. That's Top Tier. I'm glad that Rude was willing to share about the comms. That's something we have noticed from time to time. Rivals, an example of last match, their comms were a little weak. You could tell there's always improvements. We've criticized. Sorry.
Yeah, no, sorry to cut you off.
Oh, sorry.
It's one of those things that a lot of people don't really talk about because you don't really hear it a lot. But it's really a fascinating opportunity that we have to go and listen to these teams, and you hear all the differences, especially one of my favorites, Wallhack's last season, and how vocal he was. And then this season, just listening to his own difference and how his style's kind of changed by stepping into Apex, and how a team around you can change how you interact with them, how you communicate. It's really fascinating to look at.
All right, let's take a look at the maps for this upcoming series. Top tier in 07. We've got Mines for Battle 1. That's chosen by Top tier. Prokhorovka by 07. Cliff by Top tier. Steps. And then the tiebreaker today is Mines. So a nice little Mines sandwich for the match if it goes long. But Top tier picks Mines and Cliff. And then Proc for 07. A very open series, wouldn't you say? So
yeah,
not
definitely.
a lot of heavies.
Not a lot of heavy tanks. Cliff, we almost see none of them these days. Back when we first switched to Tier 10, we saw 113s, and in North America specifically, we allowed the reward tanks for a season. So we saw a lot of the Object 260s just because they're fast, they can get to the middle, and they bring some weight. Teams have definitely shifted away from that. We've gone a lot more towards bat chats and TVPs. And then with the Kronwagens, we've seen those used sparingly so far this season, once or twice. There's some places that they can really work with all that gun depression they have.
Yeah, and we'll have to see how that goes because we are just getting ready to start the 60-second countdown to get in this battle number 1. But starting on, and I'm just going to have to check again, sorry, Mines, which is, by the way, we've started 2 matches today on Mines. We also, the Valence Rival one was starting on Mines as well. Mm-hmm. So Mines is a match, is a map where you're probably going to see a highly aggressive push right towards the middle at the beginning, right?
We used to see that a lot. Then the zero-line climb became a thing, and teams could get up there and they could start cracking the turtles.
Yeah.
Before that even became a thing, we saw teams back away from the hill, start being a lot more passive, and then when the zero-line became a thing, that forces people to move and be reactive.
Yeah, but at the start of a match is what I was kind of focusing on, because if you want to set the tempo, I like to talk about setting the tempo for a match. If you go for the Mines mid-attack and you win, you're going to put your opponent on the back foot.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is a lot of teams, especially on defense for the last season or two, have really shied away from that opening engagement towards the hill. Some teams, for a while, started figuring out, all right, if we just sit back, we keep good crossfires going, the other team can't really do a whole lot. We can just punish them when they push.
Yeah, slow it down.
It wasn't until more recently with that zero-line climb where it's really started teams to be more aggressive again.
Now, look at these lineups. Break it down for me, Rox.
We have a Kronwagen, 3 bat jets, 2 TVPs, and a UDIS coming out of top tier. Top tier is the team attacking, so that UDIS probably going to be used as cap pressure, my guess. Once again, you put him over in the low ground on F2, he can sit there and not be reset because he's so low, there's just enough cover for him. Or you could even put him behind a 113 or another heavy tank over there.
Yeah, and take a look at that bright green camo from top tier.
Yeah, and now look at the lineup for 07. Interesting. 3 bat chats, 2 grill 15s, which is where it gets interesting. 2 grills on defense. Not a lot of weight, just a lot of firepower. And then 2 Emil 2s.
Yeah, if they get shots on target, especially the same target, and with a lineup like this, that's just going to evaporate a tank, right? Yep. Just completely off the battlefield.
Another thing, a little tidbit here that I like, is this is the first time this season that top tier has played Mines.
So we have 0 results up till now.
So this is going to be their baptism by fire, I guess, to see how well their practice and their strats works on this map.
Let's see what they do, because right now, I think we can both agree this is kind of a little.
So they're not actually going for cap pressure with the UDIS. What they're going for, he's playing over towards the 789 line, and what I expect to see him do is he may actually do the zero line climb in the UDIS.
In the UDIS, the zero line climb. I'm going to jump over and follow that, because if my knowledge of the UDIS is correct, he's going to have trouble making any jumps simply because of. Oh, never mind. Engine power, I was going to say, but...
No, the UDIS is a very fast little tank. It's faster than the Tier 9 and 10, and it can do most of the climbs
top
that we see.
Top speed-wise fast, or just horsepower to weight ratio
both
fast?
Of them.
Okay.
It can do pretty much any of the climbs that we see RU-251s or Batchats do.
All right. Well, you know what? Do you want to take a listen in to top tier?
Let's
see
go
what they're going for.
Let's see what they're going to try to do against 07 right now as they try to figure out how to crack this turtle, essentially.
The TP
That's
get up,
where
TP get up here.
and then you can blind fire this guy.
Okay, there's an Emil underneath the hill. Okay, now watch the backside.
I'm getting in
Okay,
position.
just can you watch the backside?
Yeah.
So you want me to just push up this boost and kind of just stay there?
No, don't push across. You can get farmed by the girls.
I'm lit. He's poking again. What
do you want me to do then?
We wanted you to blind fire him, if you can.
You just need to be like literally just shooting that spot like over and over again.
Delph is blind shot. You just look for
shooting it.
if it's hitting something or not.
He's not poking anymore. Hako, you go for the boost. He's not poking.
Go for the boost.
The zero line boost.
You want me to boost? Damn.
Shitty boost, Rune? Shitty boost?
No.
Emil's
We
not
need
poking.
to keep working at Emil.
We don't know if we're gonna. He's not gonna get lit, even if I try to
Just
light
use
him.
load heat and just blind fire. Load heat
He's
and
not
blind fire.
poking,
We have
though.
7 minutes. You can still hit him.
I can't hit him. He's behind the building. He's not poking anymore.
I'm just blind firing that.
You missed. You hit. Aim a little lower, I think. Maybe.
Alright.
Can't even see where am I supposed to shoot? I'm shooting away.
Miss. Oh, you bounced.
Yeah, he's hugging the building.
You're too low, Hako.
Too low. There?
You hit. That's too low.
Hako, you're hitting the rock.
Suka, блядь.
Fetch at out H2. He didn't spot me.
Someone's hitting the rock.
It's Hako. Hako's in the rock. Delta, you still shooting or no?
I'm just trying to get higher up so I can have a better shot.
That's another hit.
So what you heard there was Pompous is sitting up on the hill, just looking behind the building that Fosta's sitting in. And what he's sitting here looking for is not any connections itself onto Fosta, because Fosta isn't spotted. What they're doing is looking to see if the shells come through on the other side to know if they hit or not. And they're just trying to eliminate Fosta because they know he's here, and he's stopping them from doing that zero line climb that we were talking about.
Exactly. And what I like from Fosta is that he realized that he was getting blind fired and he was getting pressured, and he adjusted his position very calmly, got in the right spot, and now he just sits, makes sure that he doesn't get too aggressive, and he should be just fine. However, I do like seeing the Delta shifting position. You're seeing Top Tier realizing, okay, Fosta knows what he's doing. He's shifted. He's looking for something else. Let's find another angle. Let's get our shots back on target. Let's adjust. Let's don't just stall out because we're no longer getting the hits that we need. We do have options, and I like that there was the deliberate call by Rude specifically to not jump up on the zero line.
It was a little bit preemptive, I think. It was too soon trying to get a tank up there, because that zero line climb is really the key to breaking a turtle on this map. You really need to have a tank up there, otherwise this 8-9 line, it's almost, I don't want to say completely not viable, but it's almost just not worth it.
It's a risk.
Yeah.
If your opponent is watching, waiting, and they're ready for it, it could really turn against you. We've seen that before.
If you have the zero line climb, though, you have a tank up there like a bat chat, you really can open up that side of the map, because there's a lot of different angles up there that you don't normally have.
Look at this, Muriel getting off of the mid hill. I'm wondering what's going on with that move, because Hako, what's he up to right now? What's he trying to do? It doesn't look like he's going
around,
for a hill.
seeing if he gets spotted.
Oh, and it's covered. Looks like Muriel is more confident about maybe making the jump. Earlier on comms, it sounded like Hako might not have been actually too confident that he's ready to make the jump. It's a very difficult thing to do, and we all know what happens when that doesn't work. But Hako, oh my gosh, wow, he went all the way in. And actually off of that, you have Muriel missing his jump to the hill, and that's going to hurt even worse. But 1v1, Fosta...
He will reload. He only has 2 seconds between each shell, but it's going to be Rude Awakening and the Kronwagen from the hill that's going to find the kill.
Nice play. Good pressure from Top Tier. That's the teamwork. That's the crossfire. But Hako is incredibly low. So
teamwork makes the dream work.
Teamwork makes the dream work? You don't hear that one every day. Rude Awakening up on the hill. And his Kronwagen, though, takes a little bit of damage, but Major Issues is getting focused. Is that from any crazy angles? No, he just poked out and got smacked down, whack-a-mole style.
And this is what Top Tier needed to break this defense from 07. They have a tank up on the zero line climb now. They have some sort of pressure. They can use Hako here to back off and get onto Cap once that zero line's under control.
I actually want to jump subjects real quick and ask about the Grill 15s and their effectiveness here. It seems like they haven't actually done anything for the team as of right now. Would that be accurate? It seems like they've just been kind of been off to the side, wanting to be useful, but...
Well, correct, but they're set up right now to deny the one line is their main thing. They're sitting there, either that or a push over the middle. That's 2 Grill 15s. That's 750 alpha per shot. So 2 grills hit the same target. That's 1,500 if they roll average. And then that can basically delete a tank right then and there. Just one follow-up shot from anything else in the team, and that's a kill.
Okay. Well, but what about shifting, though? What about moving one of those Grill 15s more towards the middle, trying to get another angle, something further to the east? Would you think that might work out for
I would expect to see maybe a hill retake more than likely. If they try to push that K line, it's going to be too open. If the other team has hill control, they'll spot them on that cross. There is no safe way to do it. So seeing them group up, use their speed, close distance, and get real close where they can just run in and double tap something is the more likely use for them.
So 7 wants to get the Grills close, find the same target, evaporate that target by dealing all of his health and damage instantly. And
now what they can do from the position they're in right now, if one of these tanks up on the 0 line does get lit, they can return fire and make him regret ever peeking.
Yeah, and there's risky shots coming out of Hako, but Pompous gets deleted. And that's not good for top tier. They needed him alive on attack, but he pretty much just jumped off the hill, which is very strange. I'm not quite sure what that was going for.
And now Hako coming in, looking for a shot onto Cam.
He gets one. He should be able to get the second. And he's going to bounce it off the turret of the Emil 2.
A very tough shot there.
But Muriel, at the same time, is getting higher and higher into that 0 line, up on those mountains. And he'll be able to probably put shots onto Camador shortly. Mako's taking damage.
Look at the time, though. There's only 1 minute left. So despite 07 being down on HP by about 500 now, they just have to sit back for 1 more minute, punish top tier if they make this push, and they will win by time expiring.
But there is still time to deal enough damage. With about 5k hit points, there's enough time, right?
Their top tier needs to get moving at this very moment to have a chance.
And there they go. Zitz rolls down the hill and takes down Mako's. Rude Awakening taking down Mako's. Now 3 tanks alive for 07 versus the 1, 2, 5.
Oh, and this could be over right now. Andy Pans is going to make a run towards Lucrucia Siga and take him out, and he can run away and just waste the last 30 seconds.
Maybe so, but there's a chance he could get chased down. No, he should be able to get away. He
let it pass the cover, and this is over. This is done. 20 seconds left. They cannot kill everyone. Rude Awakening won't, I don't even think, be loaded in time.
He should, but hoping a prayer, and he might be able to. Chances are...
Oh, no, he doesn't have it. Andy Pans is full HP. Let still alive, so even though he's reloaded, he's going to come around. Unless he gets a miracle ammo rack at the last second. Nope, not a thing. And that's going to be 07 getting the first win on Mines.
Well played for 07. Solid defense. I have to give it to top tier. As far as trying to pressure and poke at a standard defense for Mines, top tier did a solid job. Yeah. Not successful, just...
The ideas were right. I think they needed to speed up the clock, though, a little bit. I think they wasted a little bit too much time because they did the right things. It just took them maybe a minute too long. If they hadn't even another 30 seconds, this game could have been over.
Yes. Actually, that's 100% right. I don't think there's almost anything to aside from that. That's it. Did notice their comms were solid. I liked the way that Rude Awakening was coming in and clearing things up. When there was indecisiveness, where a team was like, well, maybe we should do the 0 line jump and just do it. And it seemed like an arbitrary decision that they were going to just go for a jump because that's a cool idea, right?
Well, the 0 line, a lot of people have gotten this mindset recently that the 0 line is how you win that map. And they're not wrong, but the problem is there's a layer that you have to get to before you can do it. You have to make sure that you're not going to get completely deleted on the way there, which is what 07 were set up to do, was to stop tanks from getting up on that 0 line.
Exactly.
So they wanted to make sure that they pressured the tanks back and they could do it safely and then use the 0 line as the second step to open up the rest of that defense.
Yeah, and I guess the point is, you have to know what you want to do with it, right? You can't just be arbitrarily going about getting on the 0 line.
Yep.
And you have to understand what's going on with the pressures that you're going to have to work against in order to succeed. I see where you're going.
And looking at the damage here, Letif coming up big there. He's been a real star for 07 this season, especially in terms of fantasy.
Star, as far as fantasy goes, he looks like he carries the team.
Yeah.
Not saying that he does, just he looks like he carries the team as far as where he is.
3,800 damage, 2 kills. That is a lot of points right there. And then Akako, keep in mind, Akako normally plays heavy tanks. He's the normal IS-7 Kronwagen driver in this team. Stumbling over my words there.
It's okay.
And the bat chat that he played still managed to do 3,100 damage. So changing up the role, still making it work.
Well, I like to say this about heavy tank drivers, and you've heard it before, which is like, you put a heavy tank driver in a medium tank, and if he has to go up against another heavy tanks, he knows exactly what to do to be the most annoying medium there ever was. Same with a medium when you put him in a heavy. They know exactly how to annoy the other half because they're used to being the other half more than that.
Yep. Well, we actually have an update from Eclipse versus Deja Vu up right now.
Oh, what's the score standing at? Has Eclipse managed to come back is going to be the big question. Eclipse is down still 1 to Deja Vu's 4, and
they're up on HP by a good bit.
This one,
and they're gonna close that out. That's gonna be a 5-1 in favor of Deja Vu.
Phenomenal. Eclipse, a team that was not expected to fall in that way. It's curious that Deja Vu is able to get out ahead, and it looks like it was actually a relatively close match. I'm gonna have to check those replays out. We do host those on Watt Replays, and I'll be throwing those up probably early tomorrow so that people can go out and download and review those.
Yep. Also, all the replays of all the VODs that we do here on the show, those are all available on our YouTube channel /WGLNA.
Yep. Make sure to go check those out. They're absolutely worth it. And it's as we get ready for this next battle, it's going to be switching sides on mines to jump back into the subject of Top Tier's 07 match currently that we're in the middle of. 07's just successfully defended. They started off with a good win. That's got to be frustrating for Top Tier. If you're Top Tier, how do you respond? What do you do this next battle? You're the defender now.
You need to be a little bit more proactive than I think 07 were. I think being a bit more aggressive on defense is a good start. Either that or we may very well just see an exact copy of what 07 just did. Just make sure they block out that 0 line, make sure they have eyes on it, make sure they have a gun sitting there staring at it. Something I've seen in one of the offline matches earlier this season was a 183 sitting right underneath the hill, looking towards that 0 line climb, and then having an IS-3 out there to prox light.
Yeah.
And so if anyone tries to go for that boost, the 183 is just staring at him, and if he gets the full pen with the Hesh shell, that's 1,800 damage easy, and he's dead.
But I feel like a strategy like that, deciding to bring a very specific tank to counter a very specific move, was very easily read. I think everyone knew what was going on. You know that big gun is there to just derp on a tank going for the 0 line.
Well, that's the thing you have to think about, why it's not a bad pick, and why, even though it is a little bit situational, like you talked about, why it still works. Because look at the options they have. They stop the 0 line. The other team on mines, they're going to bring a lot of bad shots and TVPs. Not a lot of teams go that heavy anymore, so you have the Hesh shells going against these lightly armored tanks.
Yeah.
And from the position he's sitting underneath the hill, if they push 1 line, as long as they have eyes up there and they spot it, he can very quickly just turn 180 degrees and have a shot on something pushing down the 1 line, so that's another Hesh shell into the side of a bat chat or a TVP. It's a flexible strat. Now, it's very readable, it's predictable, but how do you beat it?
Yeah, that is a good point, because you know that this is an obstacle probably standing in the way of exactly the strategy you planned to bring. So your opponent knows this is disruptive no matter what. And even if it's not disruptive, the strategy you're probably bringing, if it's not involving the far east or the far west, and it involves going right down the middle and starting an engagement that way.
Drive right into a 183. Have fun.
And here's the thing. What better tank to just be the first tank they run into? 183 gets 1 shell off. Most other tanks won't be able to put out much more damage than that anyway, so might as well get the biggest shot you can.
As long as he pens that Hesh shell. Now, there is a big if he pens that Hesh shell, because that is not a guaranteed.
No.
If he can make it count, that's basically a tank completely deleted off the field. You can even hit the lower plate of an E5, get the full pen, and that's going to leave that E5 essentially a one-shotter from that point on.
Yeah. So, but if that were a bat chat, if that's even a Kronwagen, he's only going to get to deal about 400 damage before he goes down. So, as far as anything goes, it's the probably the most ideal tank to have to lose in a situation where you get blitzed. But we'll have to see how it works out. I don't know if I'd necessarily agree that it's the best choice, though. I think that it's possible that we could say that there are better choices, more flexible, that kind of apply to a wider range of situations.
As a caller, my mindset goes like this. All right, so I'm not getting up on the 0 line because that 183 is sitting there watching them. So how else do I open 1 line? All right, well, I have to worry about that 183 shooting us in the cross. Yeah. So I go, all right, I want to bring artillery. I'm going to start working the 1 line slowly, get the artillery maybe down to C1, and start backing off that 183 and open up the 1 line. And then from that point on, then you can work the 1 line and you can kind of neutralize the 183 from that point on.
All right. Well, battle is about to start. These lineups, well, unfortunately, I was hoping we'd see a 183 just to prove your point right there, but we're going to see a grill instead. So
still a large gun that pumps out a lot of damage.
Exactly.
A 113, 3 bat chats, a TVP, and Rude Awakening playing that ANX 1390. 07, who are up 1-0 right now, bringing an IS-7, 4 bat chats, a TVP, and an M4043.
Let's see what the opening moves are. I'm just waiting a moment. We want to see if there's going to be a huge mid-push coming out from 07 or from top tier, if anything's going to come of this early on. Although, look at the east side of the map.
This is what I was talking about. A solid 8-9 line play. Just make sure that 0 line is gone.
And looks like we're about to see possibly an engagement on the far east. Looks like Andy Pan's able to... it's taken down by 1326. La Cucaracha almost sinks a shot in there, but not quite in time.
And now they're forcing the tanks from 07 to head back over towards the hill. And now look at this. The tanks are regrouping, and they managed to counter-push the hill late. The Batchat over in the middle can join up with them, Delph, and they can retake the hill in numbers. However, they're going to choose to back off and just become more passive at this point. You have Rude Awakening on the one line still, and it looks like 07's response was to make sure they didn't push the hill. They're waiting for it, but they're not actually taking the hill themselves.
Yeah, and that could have been an incredibly risky play in hindsight, thinking about the way that tanks from top tier were laid out early on. There were a number of tanks to the far east that could have easily been focused down had there been a crazy push from 07. But thinking about it, of course, chances of seeing an east side push with more than 2 tanks, even 3, is something you'd see maybe 1 in 100 times.
Yep, absolutely. And now Camador in the I-7, knowing that top tier does not have any artillery, he's going to get up here and he's just going to start proc sliding. He only has to really worry about Pompous and that Grill 15 in the backfield getting off shots. So he can work this ridge a lot more freely than he would if the other team, say, had an artillery.
Yeah, and we're going to have to pay attention if Fosta's able to get damage in, and note when 07 is able to move that M4043, because if that M4043 from Fosta is able to get anywhere to the far east or even the southwest, he's going to obliterate top tier. Top tier's not going to stand a chance once he's able to get shots on target.
Now, one thing I do like about top tier, while they're playing passive right now, look at this lineup. This lineup doesn't say camp. It says flexibility, move around, and maybe push. And so, unlike what we see out of a lot of teams, they bring lineups where they're stuck being passive. Say, bring an STRV, or like we were talking about, bringing 183. It does limit you in the sense that it limits your offensive options while you're defending. And so what they can do is they can use this flexibility to group up and, say, retake the hill and cause problems for 07 who are trying to sit here and crack this turtle.
Exactly. Now, note we do finally see artillery moving. It's Fosta and the M4043 is shifting out to the east, and that's going to mean 07 is preparing to push on the east side of the map, go for the 1 cap. They probably won't even look at the west side, that 2 cap you can see on the mini-map, big number 2.
I see what they're doing right now.
You see it now? Okay, yeah.
They're bringing it over to take care of any passive scouts behind that same building we just watched them try to get Fosta out of last game.
And the thing is, they already have the hill, so they have the high ground on the map, the center control point, and they leave enough tanks up there. Top tier can't afford to overmatch on the top of the hill, because if they do, if top tier decides to try and take the hill, 07, if they play it correctly, will leave. They will force 07 to pay a toll, and they will get out of the way. If that happens, then I think 07 should be able to take this one pretty easily. That would be a mistake by top tier. But it is feasible that top tier might go for some kind of counterplay. They might try and take this back. I know Rude is the kind of player that does believe in concepts like tempo. So he might do that just to take control and to tell 07, no, this is how the battle's going to go.
It can be incredibly disruptive. So running passive defenses aren't bad if you do it for a short amount of time. If you're only going to do it for 3, 4, 5 minutes, it limits the amount of time that you give the other team to find a way to counter you. So often we've talked about passive defenses not working because if you give the other team 10 minutes to sit there and spot you out and find a way to break you, they can just counter push at that point. They can find the way to really break down your defense. If you do a passive defense for, say, 4 minutes, and then all of a sudden, you're not being spotted and the other team's trying to figure out how to break you after they spotted you initially, they then group up and they make a play while they're not paying attention. The attacking team gets into the mindset that, look, we're attacking right now. They're defending. They're just going to defend. They're going to sit back. They're not going to attack us. And so you just throw that wrench all of a sudden and you just say, hey, look, we can attack too, and just go at them. You can really throw off a team.
Exactly. Just do the least expected response, and you're probably going to have some measure of success, especially if you're able to do it in moderation. Now, I do see a jump, possibly. Looks like Mako's going for the 0 line.
And an artillery shot landed on Pompous, blind fire. He wasn't even spotted. Fosta hit him for almost 600.
Well played. I guess Pompous should have not been such a typical position. Mako's. Watch how he makes the jump, and nice.
And notice what happened because it's artillery. Meanwhile, Mako's takes a shot from the grill, I believe it was.
3 shells. Zitz, Delph, Oghako fired at the exact same time.
And Mako's is stuck now. If he tries to go up any further,
He's
he
probably
can't do it.
well. Chances are he might take fire.
He got delit. He stayed behind that hill to make sure he was not spotted anymore, and now he has a very slight window to get up there. But however, since the last major patch,
he's good.
Since 9.16, they changed the spotting mechanics to where there's no longer that 3-second delay from when a tank actually gets spotted and he's seen. So now it's going to make, even if you're delit, you're still going to get spotted the second you peek out instead of having that 3-second window to get out of there.
Precisely. So now Pompous goes down to Warbender in the TVP. So one tank is down for top tier. Nothing is down for 07. And it looks like that's going to
This is exactly what I was talking about.
And we were talking about this a moment ago. 07's job is going to be deal as much damage and get out of the way unless they feel like they're just going to be able to hold.
Pushed in too soon, ends up going down, and that might have just been a free tank for 07.
Completely free. Major Issues pulls back, takes only 1 shell's worth of damage for a kill. Warbender is being pressured on. That's going to provoke a response here from 07 as they're going to focus back on Zit, saying, well, you're going to leave this tank, these tanks exposed and alone? Well, yeah, Warbender's going to delay you, and we're just going to take down some tanks for almost no cost. Yes, Warbender goes down, but look at how much it hurt Top Tier to do that. Top Tier lost 4 tanks in that engagement for, what, 2? Already
2 down.
rather
Warbender
low.
and Andy Pans was already 1 shot.
Yeah.
So, not working out there just because the thing I don't like about that was how they pushed in. Delph went in essentially by himself first. It gave away 1,800 HP and a gun, and then the rest of the tanks came trickling in after. If they had done it all together and made that push all at the same time, I think it would have worked. They didn't. They weren't being pressured.
I don't know if it would have worked. I do think it would have been more successful, but I think 07 knew what was coming because you saw their response. Some Major Issues pulled back. That told me that 07 knew that a push for the hill could be coming, and they had the response.
What happened was Delph got spotted before everyone else, and they had they then saw it, and it took another 5-10 seconds before the rest of the tanks caught up. If they had all been spotted at the same time, that little opportunity, that little moment may have been enough to flip that battle over.
Actually, solid point. I think we can agree on that because he gave them enough heads up to make it so they could handle the situation better. I think 07, no matter what, would have come out ahead in that.
Just needed a little bit more patience. He just waited up, and if they had all been spotted at the same time, they would have been the same time away to get there and get into that fight. Instead, Delph got there. Imagine this. If all the guns had gotten there at the same time Delph was, that would have been a 2v5 in favor of Top Tier instead.
Fair enough.
Instead, he gave him a 2v1 in the tank for free.
Well, you did have artillery able to rain down. You did have
I don't believe Foster was actually looking there, and plus their thing is, remember, Foster was over on that 0 line. He wouldn't have shots on the entrance to that hill.
No, M4043 can get shots, I think, just into the entrance. So the part where you had the 113s, the heavy tanks entering, he would have been able to get a shot into there. He would have lost those, I think, a moment later, though.
Yeah, it would have been a very tight shot, and it's not something I know that I would have counted on to be effective in that fight.
Yeah, but I think you're right on. I don't know if Foster was actually looking over there, but Makos is the one I wanted to talk about. He was actually on the high ground. He had cover fire, and if the 07 players had just gotten out of there, he might have been able to unload a whole clip and kind of even the scales if Top Tier had started on a good foot. But you could tell they decided to push based on one factor, and that was just... The only thing it was we lost a tank. We can't afford to wait longer because they're just going to whittle us down.
Yep, and look at Lettif coming in here. 3,500 damage and 2 kills, getting 70 fantasy points. Only to be done up by Major Issues, who got 3,000 damage, but got the extra kill and got 74 fantasy points.
Oh, not bad for 74. Down at the bottom, we get 33 for Commodore. Makos, surprisingly, with a 41 in his bat chat. I believe that's for spotting, probably.
Most likely. And then Pompous in the grill, along with Muriel, not able to really be in the fight.
Yeah, we'll have to see how they take this on next map, which is going to be Prohorovka. So we go to an open map where I think 07 and Top Tier are perfectly comfortable playing, aren't they?
Yeah, well, in that, look at the map pool that we have tonight. They took away all the heavy-based maps. They took away Ruinberg, Himmelsdorf, Ghost Town, and what's the last one they banned out from the series? That's going to be Ruinberg, Himmelsdorf.
Oh, you're looking at
Murrow.
who banned
Murrow,
what maps?
yeah, well, I was looking. It's going to be Murrow that's going to be the 4th map that we're not playing tonight. So they're choosing to go with the rest of the open maps. Mines, Prokes, Cliff, and Steps. All maps that are very open, very fluid. A lot of bat chats, a lot of medium tanks, a lot of quick skirmishes. So that in the map picking says that both these teams are just comfortable on those sort of maps.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. It was interesting to see Himmelsdorf, Ruinberg, Ghost Town, Murrow. Murrow's kind of one that I'm a little confused about seeing banned out because I kind of expect 07 or Top Tier to be one of those teams that would go for it. But I guess going for Mines, Proc, Cliff is you just want to play mediums and lights all day. And I guess Artie as well is what we'll be watching for because Artillery have been showing up more and more often as we're seeing in this. I guess they're coming back in the meta.
And Ruinberg's actually the other map that top tier haven't played all season. Lineups coming in here: an IS-7, a Kronwagen, 3 Bat Jets, an STRV 103B, and an RU-251 coming out for top tier. 07, an IS-7, a Kronwagen, 3 Bat Jets, a Grill, and an RU-251 of their own.
Well, we'll have to see where this S-Tank heads off to with Pompous. I've been wondering what else we're going to see, because I believe the last time I saw Pompous in an S-Tank, it wasn't as successful as we were hoping for, which was to position in the northwest and to hang very, very far back.
Yep. Well, and another thing to look at here is part of the reason that I'm going to take a guess that Ghost Town's not being played tonight is 07 are currently 0-6 on Ghost Town. So I think they've just kind of given up trying to make that work right now. They're going to go back and get some scrims in and try to maybe come back with a new theme on the whole map. It is 1-1 right now in top tier versus 07. And it will be the S-Tank pushing down and out and in front. And this is actually kind of clever right now, because what they're doing
is getting him into a forward position, trying to scout out with the RU. But Pompous, while he is a stealthy tank, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to hide from Fosta very well. No, he's got a camo net, he's got binoculars, he should be okay. But I think that might have been him spotted. Was that? No, that might have been Rude.
Yeah. Well, Pompous is sitting here. What I was about to say is the S-Tank being out in front. When you go into siege mode, you get an increased camo bonus. He's running a camo net and binos, and the crew will have full camo skills on it. So,
oh, sweet jump.
Nice air there from Rude. My point is this actually isn't a bad tank to be a passive scout. Now, he is a little bit vulnerable for when he does get spotted.
Nice shots. I want to jump over, actually. Pompous just gets a hit into Warbander's side of his turret. Loving seeing that. But that does tell Warbander where the S-Tank is. He knows there's an S-Tank in the west, probably on the high ground. He can guess the direction. And now we might see 07 try to blind fire Pompous out of his position. Might take a few minutes, though.
Yep, and the other thing to remember is that STRV 103B from the front actually does have the heat shell on top. So any of these tanks firing heat shells, such as the Grill, will not be effective against the front of his tank.
Ah, interesting. Now, let's take a listen in for a moment with top tier.
How do you want Kranz to get out of here? Like, you're gonna get tricked.
Just D-light. Just D-light.
Andy spotted shooting. And then how do you want to get all the way back?
I just took a hit.
Andy clipping. I got spotted shooting.
They're moving up then.
Like they might counter.
Yeah, they're moving up then.
I don't know. Hold on.
But if
I gotta go for lights here.
Blind fire coming in.
Yeah, Warbanner across here. Yeah, in Commodore.
You want them crossing there instead of crossing J?
The heavies can cross here. It'll be fine.
Major, let's go.
Okay.
Are we leaving bats or no?
We're leaving.
No,
the bats need to leave. I just got respotted
you'll
on
be
a
fine.
run here.
There's nothing lighting me.
You guys get spotted?
I am not spotted.
They probably
negative on the rest of us. Here. I'm gonna go hill, by the way, and try to shoot the IS-7. Unless, what are we missing? We're just missing bats. We know where SCRV is. We're missing bats.
I'm flexing.
We need to be clear. We need to be clearing these positions.
You're in here. Commodore's in here, and with Warbanner actually.
Wait before he gets in there. No, you're not going there yet. Wait. We need to spot the north, Fosta.
Andy might come and hill with you.
Yeah, we're going to pass.
I got spotted now.
Honestly, they don't stack out here. I'm telling you, they're all 1, 2, 3.
All right. One of the bats should clear in Fosta's run. Then one of the bats should clear in Fosta's run.
It goes going.
More members coming.
Yeah, Commodore spot.
What's that? Get into position.
Just keep going.
All right, I'm going in then.
I'm going to make us. I got the run. Oh, all right.
Spotted.
Commodore should be spotting the north right now. Oh, there you go. We got the Kron.
You get lit under tracks or Kron?
Track.
Yeah, see, this is why I'm not set up to punish.
You good? I'm turning back.
We have no.
Let us moving 0.
Someone has to control the Kron.
Let us moving 0 to control Kron. Hang on.
So, despite what Randall said there, we went into the comms of 07 instead of top tier to listen what they were trying to do to break this defense from top tier. Randall, how do you like their approach right now? We can listen to top tier in a second. What do you think of 07's approach right now?
Nothing special. It seems like they're trying to hold up, keep everything under control, but I'm not seeing anything I'm concerned about, if that's what you're asking.
All right, well, let's go ahead like you asked, and listen to top tier right now, this time for real.
They know where I am. They know where I am. They know where I am, okay?
Yeah, exits is gone.
I'm gonna go cover exits.
To Fixer, I'm going back.
Okay.
If you can, like, spot the south.
Someone's looking at you, Rude.
Yeah, I know. They're all looking at me. Foster's blind firing.
Okay, so one line's clear.
Oh, shit.
Exits is like dead right now. We can't actually do anything.
Okay, it's fine, it's fine. Just play it slow, play it slow. I'm dead. He's back, he's back. We're good.
Am I dead?
No, you're fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Okay.
They got me, that's it.
I got lit.
Fixer, you got to spot south.
Yeah.
Someone's got to be down here. Someone's got to be down here.
No, no one
you
can
just
be down there.
stay
Someone
back there.
Stay there.
Yeah, stay there. But, okay, guys, remember, all we need to do is make sure we have enough guns on this guy, okay?
I do.
So this batch maybe...
I'm on exits right now. That's all.
Okay, good. And now we just play it nice and slow.
I just got fucking hammer-racked, okay.
That's fine.
It's fine, you just need, don't poke up. All we'll need is resets.
They might YOLO him now, right?
They might YOLO him, guys. They might YOLO him. So let's get another batch shot pretty close to make sure that we
I'm going to
focus this guy out, yeah. Let's get this guy
the
a little closer.
IS-7's poking up on me.
I have 2 left and I'm just holding.
That's fine.
Yo, Pompous, can you shoot this?
Exits. Is it possible we can
Pompous,
get
that
a batch shot over here, then you over here to try to so that you can get those resets?
Oh my gosh.
They're really hard shots. He's hold down now.
So I need one batch shot to come to A6, and just stay there and create that angle, okay?
Can I actually spot the rear though? I don't.
You want me to do that?
No. The I7, one of these batch shots needs to come to here, and then the other batch shot needs to come closer and spot the roof. Let's go ahead and do that, boys, now.
The IS-7 is poking and shooting the bad chats.
Yeah, the IS...
Rude Awakening making sure to remind everyone just to slow it down. The time is in their favor. They are defending. It is 2-0 in favor of 07. 07 getting the better on mines. Like we said, that top tier haven't played mines at all this season, and a reset does come in onto Fosta finally from exits.
Nice shot there. That's going to save them a little time. With 3 minutes left, I think that means 07's going to have to give up on trying to pressure cap reasonably, and they're going to have to try and win this battle on damage. Now, I don't feel like 07 has set themselves up for a counterattack. They're going to actually probably need to reposition a bit or hope that top tier goes for the counter. And that would probably have to be on the backs of probably 2-3 tanks on cap. I'm not sure what's going to provoke top tier to go up and over the tracks, I guess is what I'm saying. But 07 is going to have to move their tanks out of the backfield and go for a real push.
Yeah, 07, I mean, so far, top tier have shown that they have resets, that they can get them, that they have the tanks with the gun depression and tanks in position to get lights on that cap to constantly get those resets. So at this point, I'm not really sure why 07 are still wasting time going for resets while they could be trying to find solutions onto these tanks from top tier and get the kills.
It is curious, and we do wonder, but we need to find out what they're going for. I see we have one batch out in the backfield in the S tank with Pompous, right? Pompous is trying to cover everyone from top tier and keep them safe, I guess, but there's too much health on 07's side for top tier to really push in. There's just...
The only saving grace that 07 have right now is they have Letith up in A0, so if these tanks keep poking up and over, he can keep getting some good damage off and maybe soften up 07 a little bit more, but for the last couple of minutes, it's actually been 07 with the worst trades, and top tier just whittling them down.
We'll have to see what happens. Mako's leaving his position in the north. Zitz
takes a big shot from the grill.
Down to 42 hit points. That's not good for him. He can't afford much more. And that might mean Andy Pans will go up and over and maybe even just kind of go for that. I think it was Rude talking earlier about it, the YOLOs. It's very often what you'll see is everyone calls it the YOLO, of course. We only live once. But in the north part of the map, there's enough cover that if you send 1-2 tanks up and over to attack a tank like where Delta is right now, which we might be about to see, you can kill him in time that it no longer really matters.
And
there we go.
Major Issues is going to go over. They find the isolation onto Delph. They're going to go for the kills. They have one tank on cap, but he can't cap out anymore, so I don't know why they haven't taken him off. They need to put a second or third onto cap to get that cap pressure.
Let's see if they're going to be able to do anything about it. With 29 seconds left, you have, well, probably not enough time to actually cap it out unless we can see them swamp.
They have two. They need a third, but it looks like top tier are in position to get the resets.
Not going to work. You got one bat check coming in. He's about to get his resets. Chances are the only way this one goes in the way of 07 is if we start seeing tanks die left and right. The extend the battle is the only way this one goes in favor of 07. Possible if they get really aggressive. Major Issues seems to understand the point, but no one else does, and well, that's a win on time.
So top tier really working the clock right there, and we heard Rude say that after he died, guys, just play slow. And what he's saying by play slow is use as much time as you can. And that's really what you have to do is play. You only have a 10-minute round timer. They knew that they had wasted 5 minutes with 07 going over towards the 1 line, figuring out that that's not going to work, then rotating back and going over towards the 9-0 line. And then once they got Rude out, it was barely under 5 minutes left. And so Rude at that point is just like, guys, we have 6 tanks alive, full HP. Let's just make sure we get a reset here or there. Let's let them get the cap up to, 10 points left, get a reset, and now all of a sudden they have to get the whole cap going. That's another minute, depending on how many tanks they have on. 2 minutes if it's just one tank on cap.
Yeah.
So that's another 2 minutes that they burn.
Yeah, because if you're going to reset cap and you're playing in this format, you realize if I reset cap, I will take at least probably 1 shell, right? Chances aren't I'm going to take damage. In a really bad case scenario, I might take 2 or 3 shells. I might even get ammo racked. I think when we saw that from one of the Kronwagens. He took 1 shell, ammo racked, and he tells the rest of his team that's the cost. He had to burn his kit for it. And that was just to get a reset. Now, if you wait, let it rack up like you're talking about, then you increase the value of that reset.
It's all about managing your HP. When you're defending like that, as long as you're sitting back, you're full HP at that point. They like Ruth said, all right, I'm dead, but everyone else is fine. So they knew that they still had 6 tanks on full HP. So they said, all right, let's just slow it down a little bit. Let's get a reset. Oh, no, we lost, 1,000 damage getting the reset. Oh, there's only 2 minutes left. So they still have, we've only bled essentially maybe 2,000 HP. A great shot there on the Major Issues from Merle Shikta.
He just flies out there, just take me. Yep. Just catches it midair.
Mural Scarata, excuse me. But anyways, and so what I'm saying, though, is what that ends up doing is that says, all right, now there's 2 minutes left. We still have, 11,000 HP. We still have 6 guns alive. We've only bled a little bit of HP, and now we're sitting in a position where it's going to be very hard for their team to push on us and try to get the kills. And so it's just about managing the HP versus managing the clock. You do it effectively, just like we saw top tier do, and they can just end a game like that.
Yeah, very often when you're defending, that's all it comes down to. Can you hold off your opponent long enough to force them to make really risky and ultimately poor decisions, ones that are costly for them? If you can do that, awesome. If you can't do that, if you don't do anything to hold your opponent up, throw them off, make them waste time, what's going to happen is they're going to just take all of 10 minutes, but they'll win. They'll win in the end. But
yep,
if you, especially on a map like Proc, if you give your opponent all the time in the world, they should be able to do something about you.
Well, it's such a wide map. You have a lot of angles that you can flex around, and especially when you have these sort of lineups like a lot of Batchats and TVPs or Kronwagens, you have enough flexibility to get around and open things up while you're defending.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see how this one plays out. Now that we're swapping sides, this will be battle number 4. And so if 07 wins, if they're able to do that, this will be huge for them. It's a big momentum swing. They'll be establishing themselves on a 3-1. If top tier wins on this one, that's great for them. They need to win on this attack to put themselves back in this going forward.
Yep. And the lineups coming in here, top tier, an IS-7, a Kronwagen, 3 Batchats, a Grill 15, and an RU-251. So far, Pomp is having a really quiet night in that grill. Meanwhile, 07 coming in here with 2 IS-7s, 4 Batchats, and an RU-251.
As they get ready for battle, nothing special out of these lineups. I do notice 07 lacking in, you could say, the traditional tank destroyer or artillery piece that you see out of a defender, and going for the 2 IS-7s as opposed to Kronwagen or a number of other options at their disposal. Why the IS-7 over a Kronwagen or a Grill?
A bit more defensive, and it's consistent fire is the other thing. The Kronwagen, well, it is a very defensive tank. Its DPM is very, very low. It has a 3-second delay between each shell, and a reload on the whole clip at 33 seconds. So
Seems like that hardly matters, though, in a map where you can hold down for the majority of your engagements.
Yeah, but what happens is IS-7, especially while defending here, you don't need to necessarily poke out and do damage. You just need to make sure you stay alive. And I think the IS-7 is a bit better at being a hard tank to dig out, where the Kronwagen, once you push, you get up and along the sides, it's fairly easy to go down just because the whole armor is so soft. The I-7 is going to be a tank kind of like, you don't want to compare it almost to a Badger to a certain extent. When you back it into a corner, it gets feisty.
Oh.
And an IS-7 can do just that.
That is a strong image, because IS-7s have always been that tank that is so annoying to just try and dig out. A Mouse is a big, well-armored, super healthy tank, right? It's a giant wall. It's intimidating with that. The IS-7 is a little shorter. Seems like it's not going
less imposing. Less
imposing is a word. Yes, that we could use to describe it, I think is pretty accurate. Even though it is nice, sharp angles, looks kind of scary anyway. But the I-7 seems like a tank that won't be too much trouble. And then you run into it and you realize this is a tricky little tank. This is something that I'm going to have to pay attention to and really study. And I cannot waste a single shell, because it's just healthy enough and just well-armored enough and just fast enough that it's going to ruin your day.
Well, in between that, it has the spaced armor along the sides. And the pike nose on front, so it can be a very tricky tank, especially even point blank versus a bat chat. All it takes is one wrong little angle, the I-7 just wiggling his tank just enough, and that's one shell that you're not going to pen, and that could have been the difference between you killing them and then staying alive.
And this is going to slow down. Okay, I'm going to be real here. This is probably going to slow down for the next 2 minutes. You can see tanks pulling back from top tier.
It's almost a mirror image of what we saw last game with 07. They went over towards the one line. They said, hey, is this an option? And look at it. They even have Warbander in that I-7 all the way up at A1 and a little defilade right there. So he's essentially hold down. They have to get him point blank to get him dug out. They don't even want to try to mess with that. So at this point, top tier are just going to back all their tanks out, and they're just going to drive away. And it looks like actually we're going to see 07 possibly catch them in this rotation right now.
Oh, it's a timing call. So 7 minutes. This is just about the time that if you did go to the west, and this is purely like the team's knowledge of the map and of typical trends. This is probably just that,
Oh, they might catch up Pompous and Delph.
No, if they do
and these batchats are in position. This could be 2 tanks down.
Pompous
4 top tier.
Pompous has taken fire. He might take more. There's Delph down about half. He's down to 1,000.
A lot of misses coming out here onto these tanks. Batchat moving at range. He's going to get up and over. Pompous takes another shot, and that is a lot of HP down for top tier, but you have to say that 07 should have been a little bit more critical right there with their shots.
You know what? I don't want to judge too harshly, because this is Batchat sniping, remember. They brought a lineup with IS-7s and Batchats. This was not made to snipe. This was their choice to bring these tanks, and yes, they failed to get the kill for it. At that range, you're going to miss.
Now, just the same, though, look at how many shots that they were able to put off. That's 3 Batchats. That's 15 shells, plus the RU-251 in there. You have to think that they'd make more than the 4 connections that they got.
Absolutely. I totally agree. They should. But this is also World of Tanks, where Batchats and IS-7s miss all the time, because they're Batchats and IS-7s.
But you have to sit there and wonder how much of it is the guns not behaving, and how much of it is maybe a little bit of misaim by the players.
Rushing your shots and going for RNG. You have to RNG some shells. This is that was a 500-meter shot.
You cannot miss quickly enough.
You can't make 500-meter shots with Batchats. It just doesn't really work. At the end of the day, you're just hoping. You can aim all you want, but really at that range, half of your reticle is not that tank. And so a Batchat where, oh goodness, someone decided to play the Zoom game with our mods. It goes a little crazy sometimes. But yeah, that's just what I think about it. I think that, it was
We can agree to disagree on the subject.
I think the variance in accuracy, RNG, what you could expect, your expected value, is within that range. You would expect to not get the kill.
When I play Batchat, or anyone plays Batchat, and you're shooting at long range, I think an acceptable ratio out of a single Batchat is 3 out of 5. I think.
Not at 500. Not at 500. No. On a good day, 2. 2 is what you'd expect out of each of them. And one of those guys might get 4 or 5, but that's not him. And not to say that everyone else is not as good. It's just based on RNG, Batchat's dispersion is too wide. So is the IS-7s. You're not going to just make shells land at that range. You can do all that you want, and it's mostly going to help, but there's only so much you can do. You look at
players like Dodo
Sometimes
and
it will work.
Mathis and Strike, for example. And you see.
And give it another time. Give him another chance. If that exact same scenario happened again, maybe Pompous dies, and maybe even Pompous and Delph die. Maybe.
At the end of the day, it's a missed opportunity. Whether it's because of RNG or because of some poor aim by the players, it's still a missed opportunity, and that's 2 tanks still alive, still in the battlefield, still able to do damage right now.
Yeah, I guess that's at the end of the day. That's what really matters. It's not whether you made the right choice. It's what happens is what matters. Fair enough. Now, Rude Awakening, taken down on the cap. RU251 tries to go for it, but unfortunately he's exposed.
We talked last game about time management and slowing down a game, and 07 just stealing a page from top tier, just burning down the clock. 3.5 minutes remain.
07 should be able to do this.
They're comfortable. They're up by about 4,000 HP. They don't need to make a move. They could just throw a tank one away at a time at this point, get a reset, wait for another 2 minutes, throw away another one, and there's nothing top tier can do about it.
Well, they could just go for the engagement.
They need to do that now because you give it another minute or two, and 07's going to start having tanks drive away. And look at it. They already have Batchats sitting up on the 2 line. Like, they're not even in that engagement.
Based on the way Zitz is driving, my guess is that there will be a push sim. Based on the way he's peaking. Because he's being just aggressive enough that he could risk taking some damage. And he's also just risky enough that he's trying to even maybe bait someone to fire at him. Because with an auto-loader lineup, IS-7's Batchat fires 2 or 3 shells. If a few of them miss, awesome. Great for me. I'm top tier. Now I can push on in. I know you're down a few shells. Potential damage is limited. So,
and it's still just working that ridge, but look at this. The HP is actually getting worse. While 07's taking a little bit of damage, they're trading out effectively, and they're up by about 5,000 HP now. So I just don't see any way into this match for top tier right now.
Yeah, this should be going the way of 07. It's going to take something a little bit insane, honestly, or just maybe a little lucky on the RNG. That could do it.
Insane ammo rack?
Yeah, like a little insane ammo rack. So pretty much a hope and a prayer to win for top tier right now. This is really just a challenge to try and keep a tank on the cap. But just nothing against top tier. I feel like they did handle this competently, but I feel like 07 just held their ground and their responses were on top of it.
No.
Finding the timing on their counter push, on their follow-up, chasing top tier across to the east side of the map, you couldn't hope for better timing on that. That was a great call.
Now, something to look at here, big picture-wise, as this game wraps up.
Oh, wow. Haka's going to be able to live a little longer. Kamador unable to get a kill shot on him, but there, Haka's able to clean it up.
Next map is going to be Cliff, a map that top tier are undefeated on right now, provided it's only 4 rounds, but they have won all 4 rounds of Cliff they've played so far this season. 07, on the other hand, are struggling on it, to say the least.
We'll see how they do. Now, La Cucaracha, Ciega, is the last tank alive. He is running away for his poor little life. And he's going to go down in a moment, and that will secure a 3-1 lead for 07 over top tier. And Leadif misses the Goomba. Unfortunately for him, he'll have to go for it another day. But I think that was a pretty clear win for 07.
Yep, well, and once again, it looks like a mirror image of the game we just watched the round before. You could show me both, and they almost look the same, just the color swap.
In some ways, I think there were some subtle differences that were important to note, and that is the way that 07 went to the east side when they were on attack versus the way that top tier went to the east side when they were on attack.
Even if top tier make that rotation when they did, and 07 don't catch on to it, I don't see anything about that game that says top tier would have had it if they had more HP. They didn't do anything positionally. They didn't force 07 to rotate to get into their guns.
Oh, at the core, they were going for the exact same plan.
I think 07 still would have walked away with that scot-free, even if the rotation timing had been a little bit different.
Well, but the way that top tier did it is they left their tanks strung out. The reason that you saw the Grill 15 and a Batchat take half their health and damage is because everyone didn't move together. You had tanks move out, take a leading position, possibly even tip off tanks from 07 on defense, which is why I think that we may have seen that response. They possibly saw someone spotted, turn around and start to leave at the right time. And that's what makes me think this response here, what we're seeing on screen, was an informed decision. Because Fosta, so far forward into the south, getting the spotting that he did, that is huge for 07. But the thing is, top tier could not have done the same thing. The way 07 went around doing the exact same play was totally different. That was 07 deciding to move together at the same time. They all covered their scout as that scout moved to the northeast. Top tier did not. Top tier had one tank covering their scout in the northeast.
But it's just the same. Top tier essentially just used a tripwire and knew when to rotate in bulk when it was done safely. They didn't need to wait for the rest of their guns to cover him. They just said, all right, we know their guns are over here, so we can just cover this.
But the point of that is they left 2 tanks exposed out behind. If they'd moved together, they would have possibly been able to respond in force to the counter push, or they wouldn't have tipped them off. If you move all at once, then there's no one left behind. There's no one that's late. Everyone leaves at the same time. 07 can't catch the first few tanks that moved. Those are the guys that tipped them off. The guys that were late were the guys that they caught out. They knew the move was coming. They knew that top tier was going around the map.
Don't get me wrong. I can appreciate what 07 did and how they played it. But at the end of the day, I think essentially that even without that, the result of that game is pretty much still the same as the round before.
Oh, fair enough. That's not what I was going for. I was going for why top tier wasn't as clean
why there are
as 07.
differences. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, 07 played a cleaner a cleaner version of the same strategy.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I definitely agree. But it's at the end of the day, one's a little bit uglier and the other one's a little bit more refined. Same result.
Yes, same result, but it's not exact. It's not always what you do; it's how you do it sometimes. And and sometimes it plays out a little different. Sometimes just like catching a bunch of bat chats and grills out in the open. And if you're sniping with bat chats and IS-7s at 500 meters, sometimes you don't hit all your shots.
Yep. Well, let's see if 07 can pick it up on a map that they've really been struggling on so far this season.
Cliff, the most dynamic map in the league. Battles on Cliff always turn into desperate double-edged fights. Teams start from the same spots as they do in standard battles. The first base is located near the defender's spawn point, and the second is at the bottom of the hill. Sometimes teams split their forces and send several tanks through the 1-2 line to the left of the small hill, but usually both teams play at the center. The attacking team can send one of the tanks up to the lighthouse or behind it. Fast and quick-firing vehicles are better suited for this map, mainly medium tanks, including tanks equipped with autoloaders.
And here we have it, top tier coming in with 6 Batchats and an M4043. Not a whole lot to say about that lineup. Meanwhile, 07 coming in with 5 Batchats, a TVP, and a T54 lightweight. Top tier stealing a book out of Apex's playbook, apparently. Or stealing a page out of Apex's playbook.
Stealing a book out of Apex's page?
Something along those lines. You get the idea.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
I'm just going to let that one sit for 2 seconds. I'm sorry, buddy. We'll get back into it. Sorry. I won't just sit around and think about that one. That was adorable, though. First opening moves, Batchat, Ciega, taking some damage. Love this from 07. Sneaky play. Getting into the high ground from one of the jumps that's a little trickier, but that didn't work. Not even close.
That's a tank down.
Yep, walked right into it. I don't think anyone planned for this engagement, but it's happening, so we're here now. Rude Awakening getting the second kill, and now Leadif will die.
We're not even a minute into this game, and it's basically over.
Oh, why isn't Leadif dead? I thought he was going to die for sure, but, well, looks like he's going to have some kind of cover.
I said when we came into this that 07 had been struggling on Cliff, essentially.
That was struggle really hard. That
was on the struggle bus from downtown.
Yeah. That was not good. The bus decided not to keep going. It's over. It's done for them. It's just, this is on the side of the road. People are getting off, trying to change tires right now, but that was decisive. Top tier has swamped all over 07. Although if they would stop missing shells, that would really help.
What if trying to get up here to where he could be effective, but he's a one-shotter?
For like 4 or 5 shells, I just kind of watched for a moment. I was like, hey, top tier, I know you guys have won, but seriously, you can finish now.
Well, I think it's safe to say that 07 just got taught a lesson on how to play Cliff.
Yeah, I don't even know if you got to learn from that one as 07. I think you just showed up, you're like, all right, we've got him. Ha, we've caught you, surprise. And then, oh God, what have we done? Big mistakes.
Well,
abort. Everyone dives off the hill and tries to escape, but it's not happening. It was over so fast.
On Cliff, especially last season, I talked a lot about how Cliff could be compared to Russian roulette to a certain extent, just because you just never know. Each team's going to do a different strat, and it's just how they match up versus each other, and it's pretty much decided within the first 30 seconds. The problem is it looked like top tier had some big old 357 loaded, and on the other team they had some tiny little 22.
Yeah, it was the contrast was quite clear that 07 was not as prepared for this engagement as Top Tier was. Top Tier seemed on top, and this is a real turnaround from what we were seeing earlier, because Top Tier they've been pulling out good strats. You can see the damage from Top Tier. Andy Pants didn't even get to do any damage at all.
Well, he got evaporated the second he spotted something. He didn't even have a chance to turn around and fire.
Yeah, but I was sure he'd done at least a little bit of damage. He probably actually could have helped kill one of the top tier tanks. That was Luca Ciega.
It was one of those moments where he just drove in there, and then he just looked around and he goes, I'm not getting out of this. It's just, you don't even bother firing almost to a certain extent, because you're just like, this is over.
Yep, this is done. I don't think 07 had a real response they could have pulled out. I don't think there were any options on the table for them. Top tier, just based on the strategy alone, the opening moves, it was over.
This is the sort of Cliff play that I like to see compared to what we've been seeing lately. Notice that was top tier defending, and instead of sitting way passive and sitting back, they changed it up, and they just went for the throat right out of the start.
Which I love seeing. I'm really glad to see aggressive plays on defense, because the past 3 days of matches, we've been getting used to seeing defenders just defend. Yep. We're not getting used to seeing attackers decide, oh, there are other options on the table. Let's take the mid. Let's take another portion of the map.
It's such an awesome tool to have in your tool belt, as you will, because if you can get good at just switching around what you're going to do. So one game, sure, you just stay really, really passive, and the other team goes, all right, they're going to be passive, so we can just get into this tempo of, all right, we can just do whatever, figure out how to break it. Yeah. And then the next game, all of a sudden, they wait to do the same thing. All right, they're doing the same thing for a couple minutes, and then 3 minutes in, all of a sudden, they're just full aggression, straight into your face, and you're sitting there like, whoa, where's this coming from?
Yeah. Because you have to practice the attack. If you don't, what happens when you're forced into a position that you're attacking?
Yep.
Like what happens when the tables are turned and all of a sudden you're the defender and you've got to pull something out, and you're not even used to playing on that side of the map. You're not used to executing an attack on a certain portion of the map. You're not used to doing one or two things on the map. You're asked to then perform, and then you can't. Like the jump on mines. If you're not asked to perform the jump ever, you never do it, you never practice it, and then you have to, it's not going to work.
Yep, and looking at the lineups here as we go into battle number 6, 07 saying, hey, look, guys, that was really effective. Let's just do the same thing and steal your exact lineup. 6 bat chats and an M4043. Top tier coming in with an SDRV, 4 bat chats, a TVP, and a T54 lightweight. And actually, it's going to be top tier defending now. So that was 07 getting aggressive while on defense, and it was 07 actually attacking. I had that backwards there.
Yeah, didn't you realize they tried to take the mid, go up with a sneaky jump, everything like that? It just didn't work at all.
No, not at all.
Yeah, it ran straight into the top tier guns, which is probably why we don't see that jump very often anymore, because the timing's not there. You can't climb quite quick enough. And now Fosta's just about loaded, aiming at the mid. Lucky for him, that's where a number of top tier tanks are. May be able to get a kill early on. If Artie can get maybe 600 or more damage, or even a kill at the beginning.
And Delph is sticking his head out looking for a shot. He might get lit by Ledif here.
Risky. That's a really risky play, because the TVP, as we all know, is tall enough and
the
quite flat on the
only
sides.
saving grace he has is the artillery is aimed 30 feet to his right, just on top of the hill.
I wonder if Fosta's going to go for blind fire, if he's just going to let one go, just fire for just cuz. But he does have an indicator, and that is there's one small building that he is currently looking at. And that building is only on the north side. So you can tell if, while someone isn't spotted, that they try and cross into up into the lighthouse. Yeah, up into the lighthouse. So if we see that happen, if we see Artie fire at the little building, or if we see the little building go down on top of the hill, which won't happen because Miro is now spotted up top, that would be a little tripwire, but only 57 on the splash. So this is going to take about 2 or 3 minutes, I'd expect, before we see anything decisive out of either team. They're just going to kind of play around with each other. We're going to see a bat chat probably move from one side of the map to the other, and then from top tier, probably one of the bat chats flexing and possibly some T54 lightweight moving around, some scouting action. But I don't expect anything truly decisive until we see Fosta get a kill. But Andy Pans is quite hurt.
Muriel playing the same ledge that he played against Aquatic M60s, where Felix in the M53-55 decided to completely remove him from the map, and this is almost deja vu of that.
That it is. We'll see if that happens here again. Oh, a little risky driving from Andy Pans. He's right on the edge. I've seen a few people actually just accidentally spin off of that.
Very reminiscent of the middle road on Lakeville to a certain extent.
Oh. Have you ever fallen off?
No, but I've had a teammate try to get into the mid very quickly and take the turn too sharp right after physics were introduced, and they slid right off the ledge right into the lake.
Oh, I've seen that one a few times. I also hate when you get a track shot right next to some
and it
dangerous
snaps
cover.
Your tank while you're going really fast. It snaps it in one direction. You spin around, and you end up either falling off a cliff or just right into the open into a lot of guns. Yeah.
The cliff is one of those maps you got to watch out for that stuff on. And yeah, I think we called it. This is going to be a slow one. This is going to be a snoozer for 07. They're going to just take all the time they can. I think it might actually be influenced by the fact that they've brought in Artie. Sometimes teams tend to wait a little too long to do anything when they bring Artie.
Wasn't a problem for top tier.
Well, it wasn't, of course, because 07 decided to come out and meet them for brunch.
Brunch? They had them for like a full 5-course meal.
No. It was like the time of the match was the time of the day.
Yeah, I know.
I was going
but
for like
that just was just done and over. That was just a feast for top tier from that point on.
Yeah, okay. I guess if we're going for like meal size, but brunch can be a pretty big meal.
A brunch would be Delph earlier, getting caught out in that 2v1.
What about second breakfast, lunch, and then an afternoon snack?
Yeah, I could go with that.
Because like it was kind of broken.
It was a lot of food.
Yeah, and it also took a little while.
Yep. A lot of free damage for all you out there playing fantasy, especially if you have someone from top tier on your team.
All right, so this is finally the first decisive move we're seeing out of these teams. Oghako is going to go down. Poor little guy.
And now Delph is going to come around and find Lettif. He's going to empty his clip into him in the middle. Meanwhile, these Batchats trying to get out of the way of that STRV 103.
And I like this. Zitz coming in trying to support Lettif, but he might not reload quickly enough. And Zitz is going to get the kill.
Guys, it's be careful though, because that artillery was aiming in that general area, and I don't know when he last fired. Oh no, Foster's still halfway through his reload, so Zitz is fine for the moment.
All right, well, Foster right now is aiming back towards the mid again, because it's what he's been doing the entire battle. And what's the response you'd expect to see? What's 07's next move? What do they need to go for? Why are they waiting? Or what are they waiting for you?
They're down on HP, and they don't really have too many options left at this point, especially since they lost Lettif there when he got caught out by Delph and Zitz. So at this point, they need to get their guns together, which is hard for them because they have 2 on the back of the hill. They're trying to take hill control, and they also have 3 still over in the donut. Until they take the top of that hill, the tanks over on the donut can't move. They can't really leave that 3 line. There is no way to make those guns back off and open up those lanes. So they're stuck being disjointed at this point. If they try to regroup together, they're going to take way too much damage in the process.
So then, what do? Just go, attack, wait, sit?
You have to force an issue somewhere. You have to look at it and go, look, this isn't a good situation. We're probably going to end up losing this, but we need to try to make something happen and hope the other team makes a mistake.
And what about the low ground? T-54 Lightweight hasn't seen much action. I don't think I've seen anyone even go up the E1, the 1 or 2 lines on the far west side of the map.
With the setup that 07 has right now, what does that gain you? You don't have hill control, so you can't shoot the back of the tanks along the 5 line, getting anyone pushing. Because look at it, it's going to be a chain reaction. If 07 pushed, say, 1 or 2 Batchats down the 1 line, that STRV has shots down there, the Batchat at D4, and another Batchat over at C6 could very easily get shots on the 1 line. So now all of a sudden they're sitting there and they have those 2 Batchats pinned. What are the rest of the tanks on the team going to do? They don't have control of the hill, so they can't go up and over on those guys, and that's still basically an even fight. So there's just nowhere really left for them to go. Instead of getting their tanks together to maybe make a play and get a pick, they've just spread their tanks further and further apart and let top tier just continue to pick away at them.
I see.
Essentially, at this point, they need to find a way to get their guns together and/or just force a play. There's points where you just have to realize, look, this isn't a good situation. We have to try to do something to salvage it. We're down on HP. We only have 3 minutes left. And so you just have to try to make a play knowing that it just may not work. But you have to give yourself that chance, that opportunity to get the win.
I don't think 07's going to be able to do it.
Oh, I don't either. That's what I'm saying, is that they're not in a good position. I'm saying right now 07 just needs to try to force something. Try to find a pick somewhere.
Oh, hey, look. There's Muriel.
Because right now it just seems like they're sitting a little bit too far back, not really making any sort of play.
And shots fired on the Cucarachiego. Does not realize that there's a crossfire in his position. Makos goes down. Andy Pans goes down. 07 has 4 tanks alive. And looks like a...
This is the expected result of trying to make a play for 07. there are different plays they could have made. Some may have been more effective than others, but at the end of the day, they still had a fairly low success rate, which, they just tried one of them. Why not?
I guess I should ask this, and I didn't ask it before. What's their win condition? How does 07 win in this battle?
To try to get back, they just have to win it, they have to get into the fight at all, which means they need to try to find a couple kills quickly and even that series up. They had not enough HP, they didn't have enough guns. They had to try to find a quick isolation, but instead they took too long, sat back, and just were trying to wait for the other team to make a mistake, which was never going to happen.
Yeah, and with that, 1 minute 57 left, I think Rude Awakening is going to be able to chase down Warbender. That's going to be great for his fantasy points. And now, it's time for dessert. Artie, Fosta, all alone, nobody here beside him. His teammates are all gone.
He's actually going to go looking for it. He knows that Rude's coming out here, so he's going. He fires the snap, but Lacrucia Ciega is sitting there on the high ground. Lacuca Racha Ciega. There you go. I can say it. That is a mouthful. But anyways, overall, top tier tying that up 3-3, just like I expected. The map before was definitely 07's map, and this one clearly seems to be a map that top tier pretty much have down.
Yeah, and I feel like 07 just went for something. It seemed like they picked a strategy, kind of like you would out of a book from IKEA, like an IKEA book. They're like, I would like that chair that I can't pronounce, and they'll just go with that strat, and it just
felt like they were grasping at straws to a certain extent.
I wouldn't characterize it that way. I feel like grasping at straws says I don't really know what the image of success is. It seems like 07 went, that's the image of success, and looked at some strategies and looked at a very typical way of going about the map.
That would imply that they had a clear game plan and idea what they wanted to do, and it just didn't work. I didn't really see much of a game plan this game, to be honest.
There was a game plan. It just wasn't one with a strong win condition.
It would just be very, very slow and hope the other team makes a mistake. Was about the only real win condition I saw there.
It's the kind of thing where it's like, all right, if I can bail water out of the boat fast enough, I'll stay afloat. If I can do this fast enough, I'll win. If I can't do this fast enough, I'll lose. If my opponent does enough to stop me, this will be a big problem. So it's a very easy problem for a defender to solve, is another factor of it. Top tier knows what to do. You see the lineup, you see what your opponent's doing, and you realize, well, this should be something I can handle. Yep. I shouldn't have too many problems at all, actually.
Yep. Well,
so they do.
Oh, sorry to cut you off.
No, go.
No, it is 3-3 right now, and just to go over it, Mines was a map that we felt that top tier had never really played it, so we didn't know what we were going to get. They go down 0-2.
Yep.
They both go 1-1 on Proc. They both had pretty much the same defense, like we talked about for a good bit. And then we get here on to Cliff, which was a map that we said, look, top tier's 4-4 or 4-0 on, now 6-0 on.
Yeah, so proving they really do know this map.
Yeah, and then this was a map that 07 really hadn't played a whole lot. They had won 1 out of the 3 games they had played on it, and the struggle to figure out how to play that map obviously continues because now they're 1-5.
Yeah, I'm guessing this is just going to chalk up to top tier's good at this map, and 07 isn't.
And now we go into our 4th map, which I'll leave a secret for the moment, but just know it's a map that neither of these teams have played particularly a lot, or that either team has had a great amount of success on. So at this point, it's a toss-up.
All right, well, we'll have to see what happens. We are still waiting for them to get ready for this one, so just in a moment we'll be getting in, but it is going to be Ghost Town. I'll just say it right now. So Ghost Town, it's fairly symmetrical map. Sorry, did I say Ghost Town? I misread.
Ghost Town.
I was just reading my Eclipse Deja Vu notes. Excuse me. It's actually Steps. My bad.
There we go.
Steppies. So defenders got the jump. We could probably see some S-tank action. Bat chats are just fine. But altogether, it's going to be a lot of the same players playing the same tanks as we've seen before. We might see a little bit of the Pancake come into play.
The 416?
Yeah, the Object 416.
We saw Deja Vu they ran it successfully the other day against top tier.
Yeah, and that's where you take an Object 416, which is a rear-mounted turret that is very low to the ground. And what you do is actually, because you can turn the tank around, and the way spotting works, I won't get too much into it, but if you turn the Object 416 around and back it up to the right spot on a hill, you can actually just spot everything and no one can see you at all.
Yep. Well,
it's amazing.
Let's find out exactly to see if they can crack that little 416 turtle, if that is what 07 ended up doing.
Steps, the most open map in the league. The attacking team appears near the rocks at the bottom of the map, and the defending team starts at the top. Bases are located near the railway and on the green. The best way to control them is to use the lowland near the second base. The attacking team usually begins the attack from the rocks and the railway, but sometimes they can attack through the green. Teams often drag vehicles from flank to flank, so both teams usually pick light vehicles with a good camouflage rating, but sometimes use tanks with a strong turret and even SPGs.
And as we get into battle number 7, no 416 will be found. It will be 2 Kronwagens, 3 Batchats, an STRV, and an M4043 coming out for top tier, the team that is defending. Meanwhile, 07 coming with a 113, a Kronwagen, an STRV, 3 Batchats, and an RU-251.
And that RU-251 from Fosta is going to go out for a, I'll call that aggressive, opening scouting run, and his RU-251 heading straight across the field towards the 1 cap.
S-Tank on offense on steps. What do you make of that?
We've seen this before, actually, from top tier, I believe. Have we not?
We did, actually. They left it in the south. They left him to cover the flank and to cover the field in case any tanks try to push into that C5 cubby to get the lights on cap.
And I believe, if memory serves, relatively effective. However, I believe the place... Oh, nice kill from Rude Awakening. That's Artie! Nice job on the Artie. That's a hard thing to do. Kill a scout on the move like that. I guess maybe Fosta could have been a little bit more squirrely about the way he was driving, but it is an RU-251.
I didn't get a chance to see how aimed in Rude was when he snapped that shot off. But
he'd had a little time, and also I believe he'd been facing that direction since the start.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd at least been in the neighborhood.
Yep.
And for the most part, by the way, if you're an Artie player and you're trying to play a counter and you're trying to counter on a scout, most of the time trying to aim too specifically is just going to work against you.
Yep.
You're going to pick the wrong thing. You might as well get it close enough and just try and use volume of fire.
Essentially cross your fingers and hope you get lucky.
Yeah, and go for shooting more often rather than trying to get the perfect shot all the time, because half the time he's just going to zig when he should have. When
07 lost Fosta, they got all their tanks up. They got on the nope that train to nope that Ville, turned around and drove away. And I think they were just trying to sell the rotation, sell that we're getting out of here, and now they're turning around with everyone there and driving the opposite direction, going right back to where they came from. The problem is, top tier didn't buy it. They haven't moved. They're sitting here, still in the same spots they were.
They didn't buy it. I think they might not have even noticed.
Yeah.
Is really what it is. But when you leave like that, when you back out of a position that you're just going to retake, that's just to kind of show your opponent that you're not there. Ideally, what you do is you try and show them a tank on the other side of the map that was on the other side a minute ago, or even try and knock over some cover. Like if there's a tree that you can knock over, you know your opponent's watching, you're like, just knock that tree over, loop back around, and we'll just...
It's mind games, essentially.
Yeah.
They're just trying to say, look, all right, we have all our tanks here, and now we're running away, and now we know that you
look at this. Commodore in the 113 out in the open, taking a lot of fire, but bouncing quite a bit as well. He's actually being used completely as bait.
They're using it as bait. The Batchats are going to go up and over. They will trade out Alcaco, and they'll probably get Pompous down in the process as well.
Yes, but they have baited a shot from Rude Awakening. They've got Alcaco empty, and... the Batchat should be relatively low. However, there's quite a bit of ground to cover. There's quite a bit of ground to cross.
Yes, they need to get Pompous while he gets out of here. He's actually just going to get to the low ground and enter siege mode. He takes another shot. He's going to try to fire off a few more. I think Pompous realizes he's not getting out of here. 07 needs to take him down, and there he goes, and that's going to tie it up 2-2. So a costly bait there for 07, but ultimately it may have been a decent play. They now have control of this 1 cap. They can now start some cap pressure. But they're down on HP by about 700, so...
So what I have to say about that is, well, Rude Awakening was just spotted. Never mind, he's not about to go down. What I'll say about that is 07...
did their homework.
They did their homework. It did pay off in a way. And you're right about the health pool. 69 versus 7,300 hit points. Now, that's not a big enough difference, I think, that I should really say that's going to be the major factor here. I think a lot of it comes down to the way that 07 has set the tempo. What they've just done is they've just shown top tier, we can beat you. We can force you to do things that we can take advantage of. Because they put that 113 out there.
Well, they actually got another.
They got another. Ate it up.
They got another shot into top tier there. The HP is now even.
Ah, there it is. Just about. And so, yeah, they baited them with the 113. Top tier took the bait. The Artie, Rude Awakening even fired. And 07 said, perfect. That is exactly what I wanted you to do.
We know that your Kronwagen, the tank that you pushed over towards B1 the last time you played this map, has terrible DPM, and he won't be reloaded again. And 4 bat jets is enough to just clean him up.
Yep. And continue on and then kill the S-tank as well. Yep. Getting the S-tank, I think that's the real winner for 07. They really needed that. That helps them. That helps them so much because of the S-tank's damage potential. And also because now they can put Leadif on cap.
And remember, when he's in siege mode, he has an increased camo value. On top of that, he has a camo net, binos, and he's running rations. So he has basically the maximum possible camo value he could have in this tank right now.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to look up that calculation because it's got to be. You have to spot him probably from like 330 and 330
closer
plus.
than that, I'm almost sure.
In the open with a bat chat possibly. Because, like, look at Delth.
That tank is near invisible unless it fires.
Delth is the example of maybe of the tank I'm thinking of. He's got optics. He's in a bat chat. Decent spotter, okay? And he's also got a decent camo value. He should be able to get close enough that 300 meters should be about the range he should spot. Unless I have been practicing against people. Actually, I have been practicing against people without perfect accounts. Dang. I forgot. These guys have perfect accounts. They have all the crew skills on every single crew member, so that this is an even playing field. And so you see some subtle differences in the way that everyone plays. Because
well, and that also means that the crew that he has full camo as well. So it literally, I don't think there's anything Letif can do to increase his camo value that he's not already doing.
Yeah.
He has camo on his tank. He has full crew skills that give him full camo value. He has vents to give him a bonus. He has rations to give him a bonus. And he's in siege mode. I'm pretty sure that is as stealth as this tank can get.
He won't be stealthy for long. Zitz is about to close the distance, and so
But it's not going to matter because they're going to cap out!
Really? No? Yes? No?
One
yes?
reset, it's not going to come in.
No.
That's it. 07, cap out.
No, wait.
It's over.
It is. That's it. Okay, now it is. For a moment I was wondering, because the tanks dying extended the battle for a moment, and so...
I don't think anyone ever spotted Letif. I don't think it happened at all.
Let's find out. Letif bounced about... He only captured... Yeah, he captured all of the base. He captured he got 100 cap points.
What a roller coaster ride that match was. Starts off really slow, then the RU-251 goes down, then they back off a little bit, they wait for a minute, then they re-push, it gets really exciting again, then all of a sudden they slow it back down, they go, all right, we're going to get cap pressure, they just climb up to that last hill, and then they say, all right, here it goes. And
yay.
Just up and down.
Yeah. Well, I did not expect this to go the way of 07. I have to give them props for that one. That was impressive. It's going to be now, what is that, 4-3?
Yep, and that's them clearly. Once again, it's them clearly doing their homework. Look at the timing on this push. All right, everyone's going to sit here and shoot cam, and now all of a sudden we can push in our bat chats and we can get 2 kills for free. Not necessarily for free because they lost. Actually, no, all their bat chats were fine. So yeah, so it was basically a 2v1 trade there. They did lose Fosta earlier in the round, which was, I guarantee you, not something they had planned on, but things happen, and it was just overall a good trade.
Well done. Looking at the post-battle stats, looks like major issues props him 100% accuracy for 2,200
Well, Letif, even when he's not putting out a lot of damage, because he was pretty much the solo capper there on that game, getting the 129 fantasy points.
I love that the cap points matter that much. Not saying they don't, but that they still weigh quite heavily. It's nice to see because they are worth it. And in this format, getting the cap points, winning by cap, I think is enough value by itself. So good to see that. I hadn't really thought much about how cap points weighed next to damage.
Yep. So we actually change subjects real quickly, but we have a disconnect here out of Akako, so they're going to sub in X-Soldier. So we'll have him join us. So hopefully none of you have him picked on Fantasy because he hasn't been starting since
But if you did pick him on Fantasy, today is your lucky day because he's actually getting points. Congratulations, that one guy.
That sounds like a little bit of bitterness.
I did have one night where I picked X-Soldier, expecting him to play. It seemed reasonable. I'd heard previous days that he was playing and he'd showed up for practice. Other people hadn't. I just happened not to ask at the right time that, well...
What you forget is this is Rude Awakening's team, and what he says ends up going. So X-Soldier's riding the bench, X-Soldier's riding the bench.
Yep, X-Soldier. Sorry. I'm not going to be able to see him much. It's disappointing. I wish you could see... It's like you wish that you could see all 10 of the roster sometimes, but... It's 7.
There are a lot of players that end up riding the bench on some of these teams that I'd really like to see more. Comps used to play a lot. Now he's basically the manager. Meadowhawk, same thing. He played a lot for the first couple seasons he joined. Then he started riding the bench again. And they're just players that you love and you know that you'd really want to see play and root for.
Yeah, the people that you know can perform, people that we've seen be the top player. And it is curious, like X-Soldier being the standout, but we shouldn't let that take away from the fact that the rest of the roster is supposed to be that one step above, even better than X-Soldier.
Yep, and speaking of STRVs on defense or on offense, like we talked about before, Pompous gonna bring the STRV for top tier. Then you have 4 Bat Chats, Rude Awakening in a T10, and Delph in the M5355. Meanwhile, 07, a 113, a Kronwagen, 3 Bat Chats, a TBP, and an RU-251.
All right, we'll have to see how that works out. We don't have a light, fast scout for top tier on attack, so
they're going to rely on the Bat Chats for ice.
Exactly, but what's to note about that is Fosta plays an excellent RU-251. He's very mobile. He seems to have a good I feel like he has a good idea of what the general play from your opponent is going to be based off a lineup, and then how to scout that. Sometimes he gets a little risky and he pays for it, but
like last game,
but that happens from time to time. If you don't take the risks, you're not going to be able to reap the rewards, and if you don't take enough risk, really you're not going to get enough. Oh, what is this? Okay, never mind. Change subject. I want to see what's going on with this, because that looks like a little bit of a sneaky play. So, okay. So 07 sends Andy Pan's Makos and Major Issues to the mid. This is a bit of a trap. They put them in the low ground, place them behind a very specific rock, and are now countering out Pompous.
Fire Pompous, who got spotted. He's about to go down. He's a one-shotter, a lucky bounce.
No, he's in the low ground. He's low enough that nothing can hit him anymore. He's safe.
Everything's and Fosta do take some fire in return. However, that's almost 2,000 HP. They're up now.
Ouch. Okay, that works. Wait, did they counter him out blind? Or I thought we saw.
I'm pretty sure Fosta made the opening scout run. He got close enough to get the light and then ran away. And then the Bat Chats were sitting there ready to shoot exactly where he's sitting. Once again, we talked about them doing their homework. And this is the second time where it looks like top tier haven't changed up anything. And 07 said, hey, look, you did this last time, so we're just going to set up to counter it, and it's working out.
Absolutely. So just after we were talking about Foster's a solid scout player. He understands how things work. He understands we need to deal with this S-Tank. The damage potential is insane. And now, wait, is that blind fire from Pompous? Or no, he doesn't know where the RU is. They do know where the Kronwagen is, though, from 07.
Now here's the question for you, off topic. We wait for these teams to make up what they want to do.
Yeah.
If you had to pick a fantasy player that was the main scout for a team, who in the league right now would you pick?
Tricky question. I'd probably have to go back and study it up a little bit, because scouting has changed quite a lot, and I don't think most teams rely on it enough that they're always ready with a scout player. I guess knee-jerk is Fosta right now, because a lot of the traditional scouts have moved on to other tank roles, or we don't really see a true scout. We see the hybrid scout roles where people are playing mediums, you know? So, answer's Fosta, but, oh, that is a missed jump right there. And it looks like 07. I'm just going to have to try that one more time, but I think Fosta for right now. Why?
I'm just curious. I think my pick, if I had to pick one, would probably be Dark God Zim right now.
He's on the list too.
He's done very well in that role off and on. He's even moved to the bench temporarily when Wallhacks came in, and now he's back in there calling for him. Wallhacks also another solid choice. Before Blue Mini,
Wallhacks
used to have some fun.
Wallhacks is a bold scout.
He's one of those players where it could pay off in spades or it can backfire. It's a very bipolar role. Sometimes he just puts up an insane amount of damage because he puts himself in the good positions, and other times he just gets too aggressive for no reason.
Pretty much. I feel like either he does his scouting job and it's amazingly successful, or it just flops and you're almost a little embarrassed for him because it just either really works or it doesn't. But now we do have the counterplay. 07's making their push, leaving Warbender a little bit far back if this engagement starts right now. And at the exact same time, by the way, we have Zitz and Lukukarach Ciega moving in on a flank, which I think should give top tier an advantage later in this brawl, as they do start to focus on Rude Awakening. But Andy Pans is going down quite low. Can the focus fire keep going? That's going to be the important.
And they actually, Lukukarach Ciega, a.k.a. Fixer Reloaded, pushes in and ends up driving into all the guns from 07. And now Exits is going to be the next one. Fosta's already been working on him. And now Major Issues and Kamador are going straight for him, along with Makos. Merle coming in here trying to share some HP, but it's not going to matter. They're going to go down, and this is going to be a 5-3 victory in favor of 07 as long as they can just hold on here for the last few minutes and get these last couple kills.
And Pompous, sitting on the other side of the map, is able to deal damage quite freely. But note the way that 07 made that engagement happen. They were sure to avoid exposing their tanks completely to the south. They knew that the Arty and the S tank were both waiting and were looking for those shots, and they made it that little bit more difficult. I'd say well played. It's not over, though. Actually, by the way, we should say that. It's not over.
It's not completely over yet, but they are defending. They have 5 minutes left. They have the extra gun alive, and they have the extra HP. Now, something I want to point out is earlier we talked about...
A little risky driving right there.
Something we talked about earlier was changing up the tempo, and even when you're defending, having an attack as an option. This was a perfect example of that. They slowed it down. They made top tier kind of get comfortable, say, all right, we have time to kind of work this around. And then almost for no reason, out of the blue, they just turned that knob up to 11. They got aggressive, got in their face, got a bunch of kills, and now they're in a great position to close out this game.
This is the 07 I like to watch. I really like watching this 07 because this is what I imagine you should be as the attacker in that way. Yeah, I think you just put it out there. It's all about what you do on the defending side, how you actually break out of the normal defensive strategies, and how you innovate, and how you actually show us the creativity that you have as a team. Show us why you're better than everyone else. You know?
The only lifeline, that top tier have right now is Delph in that M53-55. One shot from him can flip this around. However, Pompous is a one-shotter at 178 HP. He's already shown us that he only needs 3 to pull off a miracle.
Oh, look, shot out and nothing, right?
Nothing, no connections.
Delph didn't see anything. He just let one go. But the thing about it was, I was watching his reticle for a moment before he decided to just fire and just get out of there. Is the reticle was big enough that there were 3 tanks from 07 that were inside of that reticle, and so RNG, he could have just blapped right onto any of them, which would have been exactly what they wanted. And also,
X-Soldier really has to carry this comeback if it's going to happen. He has the HP, he has a bat chat, he can 1v1 pretty much anything left alive and kill them. Commodore's down to 1365, Major Issues down to 1431.
But Lidov, he's going to have to put 2 shells into for 591 total damage. That's not as efficient as you'd like it to be. Commodore is, 4 shells probably? Major Issues, an entire clip reasonably in an engagement that he's going to be able to take. Realize, because X-Soldier doesn't have battle buddies to distract or anything like that. He's going to have to solo it. If he gets into a 1v1, he's going to have to take that player on and just either get free damage or just outplay him.
The only form of cover he'd have is maybe a shot from the M53-55.
Exactly. And reasonably the S-Tank is finally moving, so Pompous is moving forward. But, okay, now he's in a position to cover. So X-Soldier moves up along the north, just below the tracks. There's no artillery, so 07 doesn't have anything that can fire over the tracks very easily. The S-Tank is currently southwest of his position and is covering him. If he peeks up right here, goes on over.
Boss is going to find him.
He's got to turn right, X-Soldier. And the S-Tank should have a finishing shot, which I disagree with firing from X-Soldier right there. We should have seen Pompous firing. And now X-Soldier is going to find Commodore. Commodore missing is huge, by the way, for X-Soldier. Means he can do what he likes, but
bounces another, and that's what I was talking about. The artillery coming in there, and now he might be able to finish off Commodore. He gets one more shot. He rolls too low. Commodore has 6 HP. He's still alive. It's going to be down to Pompous to finish him off because Delph's still reloading as well. Now Major Issues is going to come in here. He has a full clip. He's going to fire off shots, and now Major Issues is going to turn and run. He might take 1 shot from Pompous, but it's not a tracking shot. He's going to be able to back off and get into the low ground.
Lidov takes fire, though. That's 1 from Pompous.
The option to solo cap is no longer there. At this point, it's going to take both the tanks getting onto cap to even cap out, or they have to kill these last 3 tanks. And at this point, Commodore's running in the low ground. Major Issues is running. Ledif gets out for free. He's running away.
It's over. Look, they're running. 07 knows. They know what's going on. They're leaving. They're just like, peace. I'm going home. You guys can have the cap. I don't want it. I don't even need it. You can't even cap it if you wanted to. It's over. Throw in the towel. That's what I'm guessing out of 07 as they run away. Bravely run away.
I keep doubting Ledif as a fantasy pick. I said they had an easy couple of first matches. Easy in compared to not playing Apex or Eclipse. And I was like, no, he's going to cool off. He won't keep up that sort of form. And then They 5-3 top tier on night number 4. And
with 58 seconds left, Pompous might actually find an opponent, though. I think we've got that. So there's a bright side. He might be able to get a kill or two before this is over because the members of 07 haven't run far enough. Although,
but look at Kevador. He's backing behind this hill in the low ground.
Sneaky.
So Pompous is going to drive right by him and not even find him. In fact, Pompous is actually driven by everyone. They've actually played the mind game here. They're like, oh, we'll just stay at the low ground. We're going to make you think we're running all the way away. Instead, we drive away, turn around, and Pompous just
we're only
right by him.
We're only going to kind of run away. We're going to run away just a little bit.
This is kind of what they tried to do on offense earlier. They said, all right, we're going to go up here. We're going to show them everything. Now we're going to drive away, make you think we're leaving, and now we're going to come back. And that's essentially what they did, except this time the bait and switch worked.
Yeah, for a moment I thought Pompous was surely going to just crest the hill to find them. But I realized it's such low health. Hey, there's a shell.
And that would be Delph firing at Pompous. So that is going to do it, folks. That is going to be a 5-3 victory in favor of 07.
Well played from them. They are the veteran team. They have more experience. At least as the team that they are, top tier has been performing rather well. We gave them credit for the matches they did win. I think Cliff is where
Cliff is one of their maps. That is the map where you just don't want to play top tier right now. Even if you're Apex, you don't want to play top tier on Cliff.
But 07 on, let's say, every other map showed us something I really liked seeing. I liked seeing aggression as a defender. I liked seeing good scouting. I liked seeing the arty play.
Being able to switch up the tempo.
Exactly. I liked also seeing the cheeky stuff out of 07. I enjoy it. I enjoy seeing them kind of fool around a little bit.
It was a very solid all-around performance from 07. We saw a little bit of everything. They ran everything well, and it was the perfect combo they needed to beat top tier.
Yeah, and I got to give it again to Fosta. Good scouting from him. Leadif, he is putting up solid stats. And then finally, I do want to talk about Pompous. I think him in the S-Tank, we might be kind of like hyping up the S-Tank a little bit much.
I said from the beginning, back even during the qualifiers, the S-Tank is going to be a very situational tank. There are situations that you put it in, it will be perfect. It will put up a lot of damage.
Yeah.
You cannot force it. This was one of those situations where I think there are better options that he could have gone with. Something more flexible, say even a grill or another Batchat or a TVP, something that adds a little bit of flexibility, some mobility they can get around.
Yeah.
I think there were better options.
And yeah, because you notice the S-Tank gets used like every other tank destroyer.
Yeah. And
people
also,
are just putting it out there like a grill or anything else.
Yep. And if you look at it, 07 did their homework and they directly countered out Pompous both times.
All right, now that we're getting to the, we have actually the post-match stats. So leading the way, Leadif. I'm so glad that he's been on the leaderboard and he stayed up there. Major issues as well. I've been seeing him get picked up a lot. Zitz. Exits.
Yep, doing 1,500, so just behind. And then Pompous. Oof.
Pompous falling into number 8 for top tier. He wasn't able to do what he usually does.
Yeah, he got shut down. And to be fair, like I was just saying, he got countered out for most of the night. Early on mines, he got pretty much focused out in that grill. They said, we're going to make sure Pompous dies. They blind shot him with Artie a couple times. He couldn't really do anything.
Yeah.
Then again, on Cliff, because they didn't play into a tank destroyer sitting back, they just played around. He wasn't a factor. And then we get over here to Steps, and it's the same thing. They did their homework. The first round on Steps, they directly countered him out. They said, how can we kill Pompous in this Kronwagen? They came up with a perfect strat.
Yeah.
And the same thing here. They had the Batchat's in the middle of the road. They got one tank close enough to spot him. They knew he was by himself. They had 4 guns sitting there ready to just empty their clips onto him, and he was countered out. It was just a direct attempt from 07 to counter out Pompous, and they really just made it work.
All right, well, we do actually have a winner's interview. Meadowhawk is on the line. He's coming to join us, tell us all about how 07 managed to get that win. Meadowhawk, sir, that was a little back and forth. I was worried about you guys on Cliff, but on Steps, you really turned around. What's going on? Why? Just give me the backstory. What was going on, man? How'd you do it?
Cliff was it's weird. We've been practicing it, but top tier caught us off guard there on the defense, and they wiped us out in lickety split. And then on the attack, it's Cliff. But I'm glad. Like we've put a lot of work into Steps. Steps has normally been a map that we've banned, so I'm glad to see that in the back end finally paid off for us.
Yeah, actually, can I ask one specific question about Steps? When were you on comms, and what was the plan, if you can, for taking care of the S-Tank? Because it seemed like there was a very deliberate strategy to take out that S-Tank from Pompous.
On which, the attack or the defense?
On both.
more the defense, let's say. The one where we got the... Yeah.
On the defense, it's kind of a trap play. I mean, Top Tier was smart. They didn't commit super hard up the 1-2.
Yeah.
So we only managed to catch Pompous out. I mean, generally, if a team's going to push that hard, the whole team will push there, and you can catch the whole team. But Pompous, unfortunately, caught the brunt. He was a bit exposed. And then after that, it was just a matter of regrouping.
Okay, so just you knew what you're doing. Things kind of fell into place, and everyone executed as they were expected to.
They worked. They're just not as great as we wanted them to because Top Tier was very cautious.
Okay, so that's how you would describe Top Tier out of this one, cautious the entire time? Or what else would you say you saw out of Top Tier that we don't normally hear about them? What was...
They were generally a fairly strong team. Obviously, they kind of had some issues on mines. I think Fosta got a blind shot into their grill for 1,000, so that really helped out. But they're strong. It's nice to see them back, and I imagine they'll probably be fighting against us in the playoffs towards the end.
So that's a bold statement. So 07's going to be in playoffs, no doubt?
Oh, for sure. We'll definitely, we're 07. We're going to finish 5th/6th, and then, upset the third place team and go to finals. That's how it works.
Okay, I'll hold you to that. We'll see if that works out down the line.
Yeah, this was a huge win. A huge win. This is a bigly win.
Oh, thank you, Meadowhawk. It's much very good for me too. Yes.
Yeah, the biggest win.
Absolutely the biggest wins. You guys are
never seen a win like this before. Never seen a win like this before.
We'll see one from you next week, won't we, Meadow? I'll see you later, sir. Thank you for joining me. Absolutely, man. That was Meadowhawk from 07.